All right, so here we go. It is 2019, and yes, I am late doing this, but I'm also early doing this because the last one I did took forever. So, without further ado, as many of you already know, for the last few years, I was playing a 100% Wilson staff bag. That included, gosh, let me see here. Putter, irons, wedges, driver, fairway wood a little bit of 3-wood action there, and hybrids. And basically for the 2015, 16, 17, and 18 seasons, that's what has been in my bag in one form or another. Most recently, in the video that's in the description below, you can see that I had the Wilson Infinity Grant Park putter, the PMP Tour Frost wedges in 51, 56, and 60, the FG Tour 100 irons in either a 3-through wedge or 5-through wedge configuration, depending on which one I was running at that time. And then the F5 hybrids in the 17, 20, and 23, which would then again rotate with the irons for the 3 and the 4 iron versus the 20 and 23 wedge. And then, of course, the M3 to F5 to Triton driver situation. Anyway, I had ridden those clubs about as far as I possibly could as far as my game would go. The consistency was good, but it wasn't great. I needed more hours than I could give it to really get those clubs dialed in. And unfortunately, it came to a harsh reality this winter that I didn't have the time nor the money to put into that to really push those irons further than I could. It's not that I couldn't hit them, but when I started looking at my scoring numbers and deciding how this was going to play out for qualifying for the U.S. Amateur maybe, again, that's kind of what started this whole thing, was my handicap sliding down below that 2 mark. I realized that on the short, easy courses, I was getting away with a lot of mistakes. And those mistakes were generally coming up, if you look at the green, short and right. So when I'd hit the ball out into the green area, 40% of my shots were right on the flag, 40% of them were short right of the flag. Now that can still be a hit green, but it wasn't one of those things where they were turning out where I needed them to really make a good scoring run. So to make a very long story short, I began the search for what's next. I hit all of the Wilson V6s, the C300s. I was even lucky enough to find a pre-release D7 set to hit, the D300s. I pretty much hit everything they had to offer because I really do love the company. I do love their products. I mean, everything there is to like about Wilson, I do like, and I have really had them in my bag for 30 years. So I'm more than happy with what I had, but I needed that little bit of boost because 43 years old, swing ain't what it used to be, and those short right misses were killing that last little bit of my score that I couldn't shave off to really make a good run at, serious tournament play. So that led me to the store. And the beginning of this whole thing actually was when I was fit for some new shoes back in, I want to say, October. I went into my local golf store, and bless their hearts, they let me try on some shoes and swing in their hitting cage with them. And the guy, I grabbed a Cobra club off the shelf. He's like, oh, no, I got some demo clubs over here. Just use one of these. I'm like, okay, cool. I was actually thinking about the Cobras at the time because I found a clearance deal on them. But anyway, he hands me a JPX 900 forged iron from Mizuno. And I believe the 7-iron distance was at like 175, which is a half club longer than my FG 100s were. The ball flight was higher. The spin rate was a little bit lower, but because of the increase in angle of attack, I was getting a stuck ball every time. And that right there was the first inkling of, wow, maybe there's more out there. So I began looking very hard at prices and things like that, and I could not justify spending $1,200 on irons. I couldn't justify $500 for a driver. I couldn't justify $200 a piece for wedges and $300 putter. I did not want to get a $2,000 to $3,000 bag. It just wasn't smart. It's not a good investment for somebody who isn't playing enough golf to justify said investment. So, reeling back to the original Back in the Fairway promise of cheap golf. I began the search for piece by piece putting this bag together. And the first one, actually, I purchased these on I don't want to say a whim, but it was more of the intention of upselling them to somebody else because I found a great deal and then a couple of coupons that could stack on top of that. So what ended up happening was I got myself the Mizuno JPX 900 forged. And let's see how. And decided to go ahead and make the plunge on them. Again, I bought these to flip because I was going to go ahead and pick up a new set of player's irons in the near future. And this would have been about a $400 swapperoo on selling them new in box versus what I paid for them. That said, as I started to look at things a little bit more and then remembered that I had hit these in the past and that I really liked them and that these had the exact same Project X LZ shafts and the whole shebang, they were fit to me, basically, as this process went. They were a butter club for me. So I decided to go ahead and take the plunge and go the 4-through approach wedge and keep them. Ordered them up in the shafts that I would get in them and called it good. And it wasn't the normal Dynamic Gold S300s that I played forever again. It was the Project X 6.5 LZs. I don't think I could ever be happier that I switched. It wasn't one of those that I thought, oh, hey, yeah, la, 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 la. They really do fit my game better than what I had. The one tendency I still have a little bit is they're a little too workable for what I wanted. I more wanted a club where I would take aim at the flag and hit a dead straight shot every time. That didn't happen. These are still one of the most workable irons I've ever had, blades included. But the difference being with the a little bit more aggressive lofts. Basically, they're like a club off of my old set. So even though the lofts were weaker on my 100s, these are a 4-through approach wedge instead of a 3-through pitching wedge. Other than that, they play exactly the same for me. A little bit further gapping. I think it's about a 15-yard gapping on them. And overall, I couldn't hit them any better than I have them laid out. Let me go through the club a little bit on a lower iron. So you can, let me actually put that one back on. And yes, by the way, folks, I'm the dork that uses iron covers because these are $1,200 to replace. Okay, this right here. I don't have a spare $1,200, so I'm going to keep the little hats on them until they get a little banged up, and I decide I need, to take the hats off of them. But let me pull out one of the longer irons here to go through with you. This is the 5-iron, so this plays about the same as my 4. Overall, plenty of perimeter weighting on these guys, so very, very happy with the toe relief that I get on that slight miss hit. That is probably the largest area where I was coming up short and right. Slightly out on the toe, opening the face up a little bit, increasing the loft and the side spin, bringing it down on the front right of the green instead of driving it all the way back to the pin. That was causing a faux putting issue because I was leaving myself 45 feet for par or for birdie instead of 12 feet for birdie. So anyway, moving on to the rest of the head. Absolutely love the scoring area on these. It's good, it's clean, it's nice. I'm trying to get as much of this in there as possible. They play really well. The high toe really does offer a little bit more forgiveness. Again, the extreme weighting at the bottom of the long irons is beautiful, and I doubt I can get this one, but there is actually a slot in this club. Right on my forehead right now, you can see that black line. That is a slot between the head and the cavity. What that does is it allows for more face deflection and gets you more distance in different spots on the face. Extremely consistent. It is that boron forged Mizuno Wonder Metal. I don't know a better word for it. Stuff is just killer. I think they call it a 1025 boron. But anyway, the heads on these are lightweight, they are powerful, they are forgiving, they're everything I need in an iron. And again, I went with the Project X. It's a 125 gram, 6.5 is the technical flex of it. It's an X stiff is basically what it translates to. And I still do not understand the LZ part of the shaft. All I know is that on the shorter irons, I'm able to really crank down on those and it doesn't give me any extra lift. The longer irons, the 4, the 5, maybe even the 6, it feels like as the club releases, it almost gives it a little extra kick and it gets it up in the air more. A great example of that was actually my round this afternoon where I had a 195-yard shot and I had to get it over a tree. And it would be an impossible shot with my old clubs. I would have had to work it around the tree, which would have been doable. But somehow I pulled out a 6-iron and made the tree height and landed like 4 feet left of the green for a very makeable birdie. That's the type of scoring opportunity that if I had tried that with the 6-iron in the Wilsons, I probably would have left that blade open a little bit more. It would have cut short right, probably a 45 or 50 foot putt if I didn't end up in the front bunker by missing the ball that badly. But anyway, we're back to kicking through these. So anyway, these showed up after I got a spectacular deal on them. Overall, these cost me about $375 for the full set. You can see why now I was like, well, I could turn them and flip them very easily and make just enough money off of them to really make it worthwhile. But again, yeah, once golf gear shows up in my house, it usually gets opened. So that was the Mizunos. I did not cover the fact that, first off, I want to show you, yes, I am still golf pad GPSing. These are now 3 seasons old and still running strong. I do also want to cover the fact that I have got the Golf Pride grips on here, the MMCs, and I believe, yeah, these are the standard new decades. So these are the ones I reviewed 2 seasons ago that I absolutely loved but couldn't justify the $10 to $12 a grip price tag on them. But they came on the set. So start to finish, $375. So if I had regripped the Wilsons with these, I would have been at $120. So far, that's about $250 for a playable iron. I will take that all day long. And then again, like I said, I've basically eliminated that short right shot with these, and scores have dropped since I've gotten them. Number 2, since the inclusion of the new irons in the bag, that left the door open to try some new wedges. And I apologize, these are a little bit dirty right now because I just finished a round with them. That's why I'm so comfy and casual. I should be watching my Eagles play football right now, but that's okay. Anyway, this is the surprise of the day for me. This is the TaylorMade milled grind. This is the lob wedge in a 09. Lost the word. An 09 grind. So the bounce is an 09. And then also a 58 degree in this one. I went with a 2 wedge setup in this one because of the cost of these bad boys. These guys run about $150 a piece. There's no way I'm spending $450 on wedges when I spent $375 on my irons. So that took me back to the store for a fitting for these guys. I went into the store. I hit 5 to 7 different wedges while I was there. I continued to come back to the tailor because the consistency on the launch monitor was incredible. It was 100 yards on the nose every time. Dispersion of 0.2 yards. Now, if that's not a grooved wedge, I don't know what is. It was going in the bag. I'd actually gotten ready to purchase the one and decided that's all I was going to get. I needed to get a little bit more information off of Mizuno distances and things like that before I considered anything else. And lo and behold, I looked it up online while I was at the store and I found a half off coupon off any one item, and they did it for me. So I walked out of the store with 2 of the milled grind wedges for $150. That's right. So anyway, thank you to my local store. I would give you a shout out, but I don't want people to know how good a deal and where I got these because everybody may ask for them that way. Anyway, so that's the 58 degree and the 54 degree milled grind TaylorMade wedges. One club that is remaining for now is the trusty 17 degree hybrid from Wilson. This club has been a lifesaver off the tee. It's roached, it's beat up, it's got the wrong shaft for me. I don't really care. This beast just performs. So if you ever get to the point where you're looking for a steal on a hybrid, these guys came with the Mitsubishi Rayon Fubuki Z80. This one is a stiff flex. I really should have an X stiff in this, but the ball flight is penetrating. I think the lower loft keeps it low enough that I can get away with it. The Super Stroke TX1 grip, just like I had on my entire last set, is still on this guy. Absolutely love this club. It is my go-to fairway finder, 260 off the tee, 250-ish off of the fairway. Can easily push it out there if I need extra loft on that. No problem. I can crank it up a degree or down a degree. No big deal at all. Performs just as well. From there, this was probably the hardest decision to make, was the vacating of the Triton from my bag. What I had found over switching to the Triton late last year was it really wasn't a good distance club for me. It was an amazing control club, but I had literally lost about 40 yards off of my drives from the previous year. Part of that was swing changes, part of that was consistency, part of that was the courses I'm playing. But honestly, from the F5 with the extra stiff Fujikura speeder shaft in there from the previous summer where 300 yards was a regular number, I was rolling backwards towards 250 far too fast with that club. Accuracy was way up at about 80% of my fairways, but again, I was basically about on par with where my hybrid was. Which, I mean, honestly, it's about 100% club. So it didn't make a lot of sense to have a driver that was just not performing as well. So that led me on a driver search because I'd already gotten the $150 in wedges. That took me to $525 with the irons. The hybrid was staying the same. I needed something amazing to really get those 7,500 yard courses back in my grasp. And dun, dun, dun. Clearance sale time. That's right. The Callaway Rogue drivers went on clearance as the Epic Flash was coming out. I am now a Rogue player. I don't buy into all the jailbreaking technology and weight systems and blah, blah, blah for getting everything dialed in. I think you just go hit a club and you find out if you can hit it or not. That said, this club made a world of difference to me. Let me see how much I can get of this in here. So anyway, this is a $500 driver, basically. I believe they hit the market at $499. Most places ran them out to a clearance at $399 as the Epic was announced. I picked up this one custom fit about 2 weeks before that, much closer to the $300 range. So, fortunately, I wasn't off the shelf. Hazardous yellow. I'm not sure why they call this the yellow when it's a black shaft, but that's okay. So the hazardous yellow. That is a 76 gram shaft. It is a 6.5, 2.9 degrees of torque, and extremely low spin. Again, the multi-compound grip. I'm assuming this is also a new decade. It may be the MCC Plus 4s or whatever else other version they have. It feels identical to the new decade, so I'm going to play that card and say it's probably the same one or the newer version of it. It is the 9.0 head. I have it set standard right now. I may drop that during the summer. The Callaway neck is something that is different to me. The Wilson, you basically rotated the header, the head on the shaft, and it would adjust the loft and lie for you. This one actually has basically a 3-piece neck here, and it's really hard to make out, but let's see if we can do that. So you can see 2 different rings in there that adjust, and the hosel fits into those. That allows you to keep the grip in the same position, which is kind of a big deal if you like having your grip centered. I never used to care because I used wrap grips for a very long time. Once I moved to the TX1s and I'd adjust the loft a degree, it really did get a little funky on there because I'd want to, feel where my hands used to be, and it was a little texture difference, but it wasn't the end of the universe. Callaway has eliminated that problem with this club by using that OptiFit neck. Again, different settings right in here, easy peasy. This is the Sub-Zero model, and I'm going to try to do this the best I can here. The Sub-Zero is noted right there. I can't honestly tell you which way the weight system is going. I think it was a 12 and a 2, and I want to say the 12 is in the back. But I honestly haven't touched this since it was set up for me at the shop. I can't remember what we decided on, and I don't really care at this point. The only time that'll come into effect is if something happens and it breaks its head and I have to get a new one. I do know that the black weight, 14. There we go. It says right on there the 14 gram weight is in the front, which would make the 2 gram in the back. There we go, all set. So the heavy weight in the front, the lightweight in the back. I believe that decreases the spin a little bit. But what we found with my swing is that kept the ball from tailing hard left and straightened it out quite a bit. So since going in the bag, I have picked up about 45 yards of carry on my drives alone. So I should be pushing out well over the 320 mark come summertime. It should bring those long courses back into play for me, which is something that was a little bit out of reach coming into this year. So anyway, lots and lots of changes so far. That wasn't it though. As you know, if you watched the end of the season bag video, I had dropped my Grant Park putter at the end of the year for my original Odyssey Tri-Hot blade. I I think I needed something a little bit heavier, and that Tri-Hot was the first tungsten weighted monster putter. It was a great putter. Still had issues lining it up though, which was the bane of my existence when I got it. That said, I got a eBay coupon. Yeah, eBay coupon for $40 off any item. And I ran across a ton of the TaylorMade Spider Tour Platinum putters that I really liked the black one way back in the day. What was it, 2016? And really fell in love with the double bend version of that and how it kind of just rolled the ball right on line, no problems. I used it a couple of times on courses. I couldn't get enough of it. It was a great putter. But at $300 to $350, it was not happening. But I ran into this eBay sale where, lo and behold, they had the TaylorMade Tour Spider Platinum Series, which is the silver with the red, for as little as about $50 going on bids. So I started bidding on them. Most of them pushed up into the $100 range, which is about, honestly, where they were going retail at was $125 at like rock bottom. Wasn't a great deal, wasn't a horrible deal, but if I could snag one for $50 and I had a $40 coupon, you bet I'm going to run my bids up on these and see how close I can get. So I lost about the first 3 or 4 of them. But then another one snuck in and I put a bid in on it and it said, oh, your bid had been blah, blah, blah. And it was like 15 minutes left in the bidding, and whoever bid on it retracted and it dropped back to like $42 or something like that. And it ended up costing me with shipping $59.66 for this putter. And it was new, in wrapper, new head cover, the whole shebang, never been hit. It had the Super Stroke Pistol GTR 1.0. I couldn't pass it up, not for $9.66 out of pocket. So the Tour Spider went in the bag. This was the first actual round with it today. Super impressed with it. I can't say that there is any piece of this bag right now that I would ever replace. And again, when you add everything up that I've got, the 150 in wedges, the 375 in irons, that's $525. The $300 on the Rogue, which takes it to $825. The $10 for the TaylorMade takes it to $835. And then that left me the room, and I'm going to actually just move this a little bit here to pick up a 2018 model Sun Mountain carry bag or cart bag. That set me back about 150 after the coupon with Dick's. So they had it 25% off of $200, I believe it was, and there was no shipping on it. So that takes me right up to $985-ish. And a completely new bag and setup for 2019. I couldn't believe I did this. Again, if I wasn't trying to make a serious run at some tournaments next year, this would have been a stupid thing to do. If I'm just playing with the guys on the weekend, there is no reason why a $199 set of irons and blah, blah, blah wouldn't be adequate for me. Please do not think that you have to go out and spend $300, $400, $500, $600 on clubs, and that you're going to get better if you do. I will say having new clubs does make you want to practice more because you want to justify the expense. I have been out 6 rounds since I've got these, which is probably what I played last summer with the Wilsons. I am really looking forward to this season, though. This season should be the first one where I have good health, good swing, good clubs, good balls, everything dialed in before the season starts. I believe that the Pro Golf Series tournaments that were last year that I wanted to participate in are back for this year. I believe the season starts March 9th at Chambers Bay down in Tacoma, Washington. Really looking forward to getting into this series, playing some competitive golf, trying to see where I'm at and how if I even should make a run at the mid-amateur later this summer. It's going to be huge. I mean, I feel so good about my bag and my game right now that I don't see any way to stop not having success. That said, it's golf. It can be a 3-foot putt that dooms you. So I'll keep working with this bag. I'll keep playing with it. I'll keep cleaning it up. I'll keep making it beautiful. And like I said, I have invested less than $1,000, so under about $250 under the cost of just the irons alone in this bag. And I couldn't be happier with it. If I added up all the retail, I've got $315, $2,000, $2,300, $2,400, about $2,700 worth of equipment here. So it pays to shop. There's no reason why you have to spend so much money on great stuff. Even if you do want to go out and splurge, shop around, hit the clearance deals, find last year's best products for way less right now. If you're a TaylorMade fan, the M3 and M4 drivers, they're on clearance for about $350. All the online places, they still have all the shafts, all the heads. This is the time to jump in and grab one if you're going to, because they will sell down. By the time they get cheaper, you won't have any options. For me, extra stiff shaft is a must. They barely have any of those selections left because people realize the value of those clubs. So jump in, save yourself some money, get some great gear. I'm going to enjoy this bag for the first part of the year and see how well I can get those scores, consistency-wise, how well I can keep those scores under control. I'm also really looking forward to the putting game stepping up this year and really dropping the number of putts, specifically due to the proximity to hole. Not so much that I'm making more of them, but that I'm leaving myself less of them to deal with. And overall, this has been a very, very long-winded video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you're playing down in the comments below, because I would love to know, have you switched from a player's iron to a safer iron, or are you moving from safer to players because you feel you need to? Would love to hear feedback. If you have any questions on what's in the bag, please leave a comment down below as well. Thank you again so much for watching, and I look forward to the journey continuing. Thank you so much.